Hello, everyone. I am so excited because you are in for a treat on my channel. Today we have Tim, otherwise known as Online Teacher Dude, from YouTube here. So if you want to look him up, I'll put his information below. And he's going to be talking about online teaching, independent teaching, and also just scaling into a teaching business and give his little nuggets of wisdom for us today, which I'm really excited about hearing as well. So, Tim, why don't you go and introduce yourself, starting from when you were a teacher
When I
to
was born.
online teaching, not when you were born. Yes, maybe we should know the year you know. Just kidding. Yes, so go ahead and introduce just your experience, I think, from teaching all the way to just kind of the lowdown on that.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on your channel. My name's Tim, and I have been a teacher. Well, that's all I've ever done actually is teach. I
Hmm.
graduated from college and then went into teaching public school in Canada. And then I got the itch to travel. So I moved over to do a 1 year stint in China. I taught at a really cool international school. I basically was using the same curriculum from the province I was teaching in New Brunswick in Canada, and it was a Canadian international school in Beijing. So I was teaching grade one. It was the same stuff, same curriculum. It was really awesome. And I was able to keep my permanent teaching contract, which was like golden back then because it took a long time for teachers to get permanent
Mm,
contracts. But I think me being a male teacher in the lower years, I sort of like squeezed in pretty quickly. I was
yeah.
only about 6 months into teaching and got that. Anyway, then I went into, I really loved international school teaching. So I stayed in Beijing for 3 years. I taught at another school, it was more of an American curriculum. And then I moved to Malaysia and taught there for 4 years at an American international school. And then
Wow.
I just decided I want to like, I just quit. I just kind of left it
You're like,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to take a year off, and I'd always dreamed of. Okay, so back then I used to follow
Mhm.
travel bloggers, right? And I used to see how, people could make money online. It was like kind of novel to me that this was possible, and that just regular old people that had passions could like create content and build an audience. So I thought that's something that I could do. Like maybe I'll just take a year off. I've got some savings. I needed a break, and I'll like explore that world. So
Mm.
I quickly realized that it takes a long time to build an income built with a blog. And I was starting to scratch into my savings about halfway through the year of my year off. And it was also the time when we had to kind of recruit for the next year if we wanted an international school teaching job. But
Mm.
then I actually found VIP Kid in that same month. And I thought, maybe, okay, I'll give it a try. And then that's really how I got into online teaching. I worked for VIP Kid. I worked with some other online companies, online teaching companies, and yeah, I've been doing online teaching ever since. And
Wow,
now
that's
it's 5 years
amazing.
later. I quit in 2017. I got hired with VIP Kid at the beginning of 2018. I never dreamed that like 5 years later I'd still kind of be in this space,
Right. No, I
and
know that
not I
kind
never
of.
had to go back to that teaching job, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like we were just talking about how that's kind
Mhm.
of a driving factor. I mean, and not
Yes.
every, maybe some, I know there's some teachers out there who want to build a business and also keep their teaching job, which is great. But I
For
think for
sure.
both of us, the driving factor was to not have to go back, just kind of have that control of being able to like afford your living situation.
Yeah. And I will
Yeah.
say that, for me, I live in Southeast Asia, so cost of
Mm,
living is really low. And when I was living in Malaysia, I was kind of looking at what my monthly expenses were. And I was kind of looking at what I was making, and it was good money, but I knew that I could survive for a little while, even if like the online thing didn't work out. So I felt like it wasn't a huge risk
yeah.
because of the cost of living and the fact that I can probably live for like half, if not more than half, of what it would cost me to live back in Canada.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't have family out here. I don't have a house that I have to pay for. I don't have all the
Mm-hmm.
big expenses of what I would have back home. So I felt like the risk was pretty low.
Yeah.
And I knew that to sort of make something work, I didn't have to replace my teaching income right away. I knew that it could be gradual and I would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that it's scary when you're, you know, living
Yeah.
somewhere where cost of living is high, and you know you have other expenses and family and car and house, and I can imagine it's more challenging. So I just wanted to
Mhm.
say that living here is the cost of living is a lot lower. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's, you know, I have replaced my teaching income, and you know, it's just amazing to kind of look back and realize how scary it was in the beginning, and then you know you sort of just you know, when you put, I think when you put your mind to something and you want to make it work,
Mm-hmm.
that's half the battle.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
I started during COVID, so that
yeah,
was fun, but it was a little bit like you where there wasn't as much risk. I mean, we had moved out for my husband's job.
hmm,
So, you know, right there, you know, my husband had a job. So,
yeah, that
it
helps.
gave me a little bit of space definitely to explore.
Yeah,
Um, so I know that you've kind of scaled beyond the online teaching, and
yeah,
um, what are you doing now? And maybe just touch on what your income streams are right now.
sure. So like when I worked for VIP Kid, it wasn't enough, you know, in and of itself. I wasn't one of those teachers that wanted to work all hours of the day, even though I'm living in the time zone that I'm in. By the way, I'm currently in I'm living in Bangkok,
I
Thailand.
was
So
just gonna ask you, where are
yeah,
you now? You've been all over
yeah,
the place
it's
lately.
yeah, I know. I was in Malaysia for oh my gosh, 8 years, and then I just moved here last year during kind of during COVID. But I'm an hour behind the students that I teach online.
Hmm.
So anyway, when everything went south with the online companies in China, I immediately took my students and went private with them.
Mm.
Um, I've always done a lot of recruiting for online ESL companies. So all that kind of, I don't know if you're going to ask me about that, but that started with the with VIP Kid.
Mhm.
I worked hard on recruiting for
Yeah.
them and helping teachers to get hired. So that was an income stream. And then they changed their format of that whole thing. So I had to, you know, I couldn't rely on it. And I
Mhm.
learned that you really just can't build your house on someone else's
Right.
property. So you need to have your own shtick. So
Yeah.
so now I do a little bit of recruiting for a handful of different companies, online ESL teaching companies, and I have my own students, and I have a few affiliates that I do some work with and promote through YouTube. So that sort of ticks along. I do a very little bit of coaching one-on-one, but not as much anymore. I turned the coaching into a digital course
Mhm.
to help teachers to do what I did, to basically just move towards independent teaching. So it's all like it's evolved. I mean, I was helping
Yeah.
teachers do what I did with VIP Kid, how to pass, get hired, how to start teaching online. And then, you know, I kind of brought that a large portion of those folks with me when I went independent, and I taught them how to do that.
Mhm.
Excuse me. And so that's what I have is I have a course, lots of different things. I think I have about 16 different income sources.
Wow, that's
Some of
amazing.
them are like $10 a month, but
And
I
you have
think I have,
YouTube too. I mean, that's
yeah, I
a stream of
yes,
income for you, right?
a little bit. It's
Yeah.
more of a funnel. It's not,
Yeah.
I mean, I could go out for a few meals with it. It's really not something to hang
Yeah.
retirement on, but
Right.
it's a very but it all adds up. And then
Yeah,
but
it
it's
all
really
adds up.
more of a funnel for me. Yeah, YouTube
Mhm.
is like
And it helps
how
to pay
people,
for like when you do scale, you'll have more expenses,
yeah,
like a website or platform, whatever you're paying for.
yeah,
Other expenses, you know, email list or emailing and
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, I think it's nice to have that. Also, taxes also helps with
Yes.
taxes. So, okay,
Yes.
so let me see here. So, I am. I mean, I'm sure my like subscribers would like to know um, about YouTube a little bit, and I mean, because I think that's the first place, definitely the first place I discovered you a couple of years
Okay.
ago, and like how has YouTube played a role? You know you mentioned something about it's a funnel, but how has it played a role in your teaching business?
Well, it's this amazing thing that it just always, it's like no other social media, in that it always is searchable, and it just, all the content that you make is can be found easily through search, whereas like things
Yeah,
like Facebook and Instagram and even TikTok and all those things, it kind of disappears, right? Gets buried.
true.
But YouTube is an interesting monster, in that it sort of, all the old content that I've made can still be searched, and still
Mhm.
is searched and watched. So YouTube, yeah, it has evolved, and I've been doing it for about 4 years. But it plays a very big role in my online business, because it's the main way that people find me,
Mm,
hear about what I offer, and I'm intentional about using it as the funnel into where I want them to go next. So
right.
I want to make sure that, 95% of the people that watch my YouTube videos watch the video, click off, and go watch something else. But
Mhm.
it's the small percentage that become your, raving fans, so to speak,
Yeah.
or people that really want to learn from you and like get the next level of training. So it's a big funnel for me for that. And
Yeah.
it's scary getting on there and making videos, for sure, but I'm so grateful that I just did it anyway, because
Mhm.
it was bad in the beginning. It's still bad, but it's gotten a little bit better.
It's wonderful. I think it's so helpful. And Tim goes live every Monday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you,
Or try to. Usually
yeah,
it's 2 or 3, just about every week,
right.
something
And
like that.
it's a great time to connect with other like teachers building their businesses as well.
Yeah.
I've been on there and just like chatting
Yes, you have.
away. So it's really cool. Nice community building for sure.
Yeah.
And you also have a website and a blog, right? You post on your blog, and I was
Yes.
wondering like what do you post on your blog? Because maybe for
Yeah.
someone who's interested in like if I started a blog or a website, what would I post?
Excuse me. Yeah. So I started the website about 3 years ago, and I called it the same, aligned with my YouTube channel. And I post about searchable content. That's basically what I post about. So I really focus on what are people who find me
Mm-hmm.
searching for. So
Yeah.
I do keyword research around that. I haven't been as consistent with the posting lately, but when I was really posting regularly, I was posting a lot of stuff about online ESL companies and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So trying to get found in search with different terms.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do. I mean, I think that's one of the most important things is, if you want to be found on first page of Google, you need to really know who you're speaking to, and you need to find the keywords that people are searching for. And it takes time. It's a long slog. It's harder than YouTube, I would say, to
Mm-hmm.
to be found and to get found on the first page of Google anyway.
Yeah. But it's
But
good
once
to
you are on the first page of Google, you get a lot of traffic. Like even for
right.
one, like I am on, I think I'm most of my traffic comes from about 2 keywords
Mm-hmm.
that are on the first few searches for certain things.
That's
So
amazing.
all you need is a few really good posts.
Right.
And there's a lot that I could talk about in terms of like, making a post. If you're thinking of building a website, you really need to be creating, you need to keep the website alive. You need to be creating content on it.
Yeah.
And that's how Google knows that you're real and that you are active, and they will help to promote you. It's just like YouTube or anything.
Yeah.
If you let it just kind of sit idle. It's just going to sit idle. So you need to be
Yes.
posting, but it's not about posting. Your website is not about you. That's what I'll say. It's about
Right.
the people that are searching for you. So that's the biggest mistake that people make when they make a website, is they make it all about them.
Or like
And
what you, okay, I feel inspired to talk about this. And that's okay to do, I think, after once you've gotten actually kind of hooked people in and now
yeah,
they're following you and now they're following the blog and all that stuff. But
yeah,
to start with, just if you say, oh, I'm like inspired by this, I'm just going to post it without
yeah,
actually linking some type of keyword or something that
yeah.
people are actually searching. It's
Something intentional. I mean, you can post things that are just, like I've posted things that are not searchable before, but are
yeah.
like, I something that happened, not like so much. It's about online teaching, but
Mhm.
just something that would be interesting for
Right.
my audience to read, but not necessarily something that they're going to find on search.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's the big thing, is to
Make it
make sure your
searchable.
website is, yeah, make it searchable. Yeah, make the stuff
Hmm.
that's searching for searchable. And there's a lot of free tools out there that you can use to do keyword research.
Right, for sure, for sure. And we'll get into a little bit about like if someone does want to build a website. I know you have something that you offer, so we'll talk about that in
Yes.
a little bit too, in
Yeah.
your services. Um, but I mean that YouTube and the website and just like Google in general and their link to
Hmm.
Google, I think it's the long haul, but it's also got, I believe, the greatest rewards because you
Yes.
don't have to like post every single day. You can post weekly,
Yeah.
and once you're kind of up there and you're getting traffic, you don't have to post as much as you would on Instagram and TikTok. I really fully believe that.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah. Just
so it's
keep it,
worth it,
just
yeah.
keep posting, here and there, and keep it active.
Hmm.
Um, a really kind of neat thing has happened with my site, and I know people want to guest post because they want credibility or link
Yeah.
backlinks to them, but I've had people that have wanted to post, this in the same niche on my website, and I'm usually happy to do that as long as it's relevant. So that's kind of a nice, I'm able to sort of help someone with a bit of a boost, and they're also able to help me
Help
with a
you.
boost because they provide content. So it's kind of
Cool.
yeah, it's a nice
And a
give it a
way to
continue.
connect to
Yeah,
with other people in your niche.
yeah.
So I know you kind of went over this a little bit. So I'm gonna go on to um, like beyond SEO and beyond what that search engine optimization. So that would
Hmm.
be posting something that people are searching for. So beyond that, because I know that
Yeah.
that makes an important factor of building a website. What are a few other things, a few other parts that someone who's just starting a website should really focus on?
So I think knowing, firstly, why you're creating the website. So if you are someone, that's starting a business, yes, I think you should have a website. I think it's really the home. It can be really the home of your business, and
Mm,
not so much like an arm or an extension, but actually like the hub of your your offer. Know who you're speaking to, and make it all about them, all about that ideal customer that you might want to have in the
mhm,
future, and make it very clear on your website who you're serving and why. I think that's also really important. I see a lot of teachers that will create the website and neglect kind of who they're speaking to, and make it sort of like all about sort of them and their
yeah.
experiences, and this lengthy about me page, with to be
Hmm.
quite honest with you, people don't care about you when they're visiting your website,
Right.
especially when they're just finding you organically.
Hmm.
They really don't care much about who you are. They want to know like how you can help them. They
Hmm.
get to know you, and of course, it should be a little bit about you. You need to sort of
Right.
let people know who you are, but it's a balance of also kind of making it about them and speaking to them and their pain points.
Right.
Um,
Because at the end of the
but
day,
yeah,
they might be looking at like multiple different
sure.
websites, and so it's important for you to get across in your website, like how you would help them with a transformation.
Yeah.
If for instance I just, got a business coach, and I mean, like,
Yeah.
honestly, I was thinking about while I was looking at it, because now I'm into business and like into kind of growing my business, but it's like I
Yeah.
was thinking, how am I actually thinking and what do I want? And oh, that's interesting because I really care about what this person could do for me and like what transformation I can get. So that was
Yes.
like really my focus of who I actually like wanted to, because I was looking at multiple people to work with. So
Yes.
the person who I ended up going with, I really liked the way she teaches, and I could figure that out with through her website and through like even her about me wasn't just about her, it was like about the people that she helps. And
Yes.
yeah, so
Well,
and
how
with
did you find that person? Just out of curiosity, was it through YouTube, through
so
her
a lot of the
website, through
people I
teaching,
find is actually through like TikTok lately,
through
but that's
TikTok?
because I'm
Okay.
kind of on TikTok. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, I just kind of, that's kind of where I scroll lately. Um,
Mm.
but it's usually between YouTube and TikTok for me, like where I
Yeah.
find people, and now kind of more recently podcasts.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so but that being said, I really would actually like for her or like for someone that I'm working with to actually have either a podcast or a YouTube, because then I can really know more about them and like how they educate. Um,
Totally. So
yeah,
visual now. We want to see people on video before we work with them.
yeah, like we just
Yeah.
like go more into depth about like how they solve problems and things like that. I really appreciate that. I think I trust someone more who has a more in-depth either podcast, website, or YouTube
Yeah.
channel.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Interesting. Very cool. I
So
think that's true for a lot of people.
yeah, for sure. Like I'm really into podcasts lately, but I used to be more
Yeah, that's
into
awesome.
watching YouTube over podcasts, but because I like usually go on a walk or something. I know
Yeah.
YouTube kind of has where you can download the YouTube videos, but okay, let's see here. So, Tim actually just recently was inside my membership. So, if you
Yes.
haven't heard of my membership, it's called Limitless, and it's for teachers looking to build a sustainable and successful, profitable online teaching business and
So
brand.
great.
So it's jam packed with strategies to, like, his training is jam packed with strategies to create a website. Kind of the first foundations of how to create a website that's able to scale your teaching business. So if you'd like access to that, you can join Limitless, and the link to that is below. But I also wanted you to go more into the services that you offer, because someone might be, I know even with my members, like they're interested in more information about a website, or some of them might be interested in independent teaching. Um,
Right.
so my focus is, more on building on a marketplace. But can you kind of tell what your services are and how people can find you?
Sure. Yeah. So, I usually, going back to the website, it's also kind of acts as a funnel. I like to sort of get people into my free course if they're interested in online teaching,
Mhm.
and then through that, I kind of nurture my email list with information about online teaching, which then a lot of teachers end up kind of going down the route of wanting to do it on their own. So
Yeah.
I have a course for teachers called Launch, which helps you to teach independently. It kind of
Mhm.
gives you the tools to get started, and it's focused mainly on the Chinese market.
Mhm.
And then about 2 years ago, my very first thing that I created was a website in a weekend course, which is designed to help you to get your website up in a couple of days
Mhm.
with a few different options. And I kind of teach you like what should be on your website. And for those that are in your membership, Limitless, the training there really goes in depth on the most important things to have. And I think
Yeah.
it's kind of, it brings clarity to the sort of like overwhelm of like, okay, well, what do I put on my website?
Yeah.
Do I
A
put
website can be like a
pictures of my
really,
dog, or do I put
yeah.
like my business name at the top, or like how does
Right.
it go? So
Like, what do you
I
put on the first page? I thought that was
yeah.
like super helpful just to know like what's on the first page or like where should
Yeah, just the
people
most
go.
important things. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's honestly, it's just trial and error. And I've just done my own learning
Yeah.
on it. But yeah,
Yeah.
so you can actually go to my website, onlineteacherdude.com,
Mhm.
and there you'll be able to find
Yeah, I'll
the
put the
courses
link
that I have.
below so it's easy to find. So
Sure.
anyone can just click
Thank
that
you.
below in the comments and in the description. But I know this wasn't on the initial question sheet I sent over, but
That's okay.
what is, I mean, you've been at this for a while.
Mhm.
And what is like the one of the biggest pieces of advice that you would give um, for someone who is a little bit newer to the online teaching or even just building their business space?
Right. Worried about, or like fearful of getting started, or
Yeah, just goodness, fearful of maybe taking that next step, whether that's getting started teaching online and building that business, or getting started with independent teaching, or going outside of a platform.
well, I think the biggest thing that someone told me once when I started was that, because I really struggled with, do I actually have some kind of expertise that I can teach others about? Or is there, who's to say that I have this knowledge that that people want to learn from? And so it's all about mindset and like
Mm,
just really limiting beliefs that I had about myself. And someone told me that you only need to be a couple of steps ahead of someone else to help them, and that was huge for me. Like, okay, even though I may not be a complete expert in this at this point in time, like I don't need to be right now. I can just be a
right.
couple of steps ahead of someone else to help bring them along. So I think that's like was really good advice for me when I was getting started, breaking away from working with a company and actually like kind of building a brand online and thinking about what to offer and creating a course and all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I struggled with that. Um, but if someone's just wanting to start a teaching business, or I guess start any business,
Mhm.
I think just it's kind of cliche, but if you don't start, you'll never start. Like you just need to
Yeah.
kind of get over the fear of it and just
Mhm.
start small, and just you know um if I had never started with the very first YouTube video that I made, like
Mm.
who knows, I don't know what would have happened.
And I think you've helped like
So
more people than you even think,
yeah,
or more people than you can even imagine.
for sure,
um,
the reach
I
is
mean, I know that
amazing.
you were like just pivotal in my journey, so
Oh, thank you so
I'm
much.
really honored to have you on, and I'm sure like other people that are watching probably know you too.
Oh,
But
thank
I
you,
think
Susan.
that's so important. I know um, like one of my Limitless members recently asked, like, what am I supposed to show up online and post, to get students,
Yeah.
like outside of a platform? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know so much. Like, post like a tip about he's an acting teacher, so acting,
Okay.
and just like educate on that. You know so much more than you think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, exactly.
start
Exactly.
somewhere, start somewhere, even if that's not the end goal. I think perfectionism can get in the way, you thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do this 100% perfectly. Don't let that get in the way, because it doesn't have to be perfect, and it will
Yeah,
never be perfect. You'll always be ebbing and flowing and pivoting into different things in your business,
totally.
and it'll always
Yeah.
evolve, and that's a good thing. So wonderful advice. Wonderful advice. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate all your
Sure.
wisdom.
I want to add one more thing just
Yes.
while it's in my head. Another great strategy is to do like a deep dive into what you actually know and what your experiences
Mm,
are. Like, grab some post-its and write down, what you've got knowledge about and what your
Mm,
passions are, and just kind of have a no restriction session with yourself where
true.
you just write out like things that that you know about or that you enjoy talking about,
Mhm.
or ask your friends like what do they come to you for advice for, and what do they think that you're good at. I think those things are really
Yeah.
helpful when you're kind of struggling with your own head. Anyway, I just wanted
Right.
to say that.
Oh, yeah, that's super, super helpful. And just kind of on top of that, you don't have to restrict yourself at the beginning
Yeah,
as much and kind of put yourself like it's important to focus in like during your first year, but you don't have to like the first few months. Just kind of
yeah,
explore a little bit. Don't restrict yourself to what you're writing down on the post-its or wherever
yeah,
you're writing that down. Like write everything that you have experience in and everything that you feel inspired by, because it's important to be passionate about that too.
yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and just
Yes,
do it.
one exactly. We got it. We'll be your motivators here. We'll get you to do this. All right. So, thank you so much, Tim, for coming
You're
on.
welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be on your
Yes,
channel.
I love it.
And
I'm
people
sure.
should come and watch our
Yes,
interview whenever that is, tomorrow. Whenever people watch
yes.
this,
So we
go
have
watch. I'm
a
interviewing
live.
Jenna. We're talking about how she replaced her teaching income, something that I've a similar sort of path. And we talk to similar people, I think, and but
Yes,
have different areas that we sort of
right.
have focused on. So it'll be a fun chat
Yes,
there.
and don't forget to watch Tim's lives every Monday or every other
Yes.
Monday.
Something like
um,
that. I think I write
yes.
every Monday almost. So
Yeah, so join us there. We'll have some community, have some talking. All right, so I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much again. All
you're
right, have a good
welcome. See you, everyone. Thanks,
one.
Jenna.
Thank you.